All right, 11.3 is called factoring of polynomials. So the one thing that you have to do is to ask yourself these questions. The first question you have to ask yourself is, do the terms have something in common? So do the terms have something in common? So example would be like 6x squared y plus 12x. All right, so do these terms, remember the term is separated by your addition or subtraction. So do these terms have something in common? And the answer, hopefully you say, is yes, they do. So what do they have in common? You have to pull out what they have in common to factor it. So what does this term have in common with this term?
6x.
6x. So we're going to pull out 6x.
So just numbers that they can both be divided by?
Both numbers can be divided by. So now you're taking 6x squared y and dividing it by 6x, and what do we have left?
xy.
Close. Xy, yep. I thought you said, yep. Yep. So we have here xy. Then you go to your second term. What is left here? 12x, and we pulled out a 6x, so we have
2x. Just 2.
just 2. Yep, just 2. All right, so when you're looking for things in common, you have to look at all the terms. And hopefully you realize that if you were to do what you did yesterday and multiply it back through, you will get the answer. Remember, what you did yesterday with multiplying, we are undoing. So we're pretty much undoing FOIL today. We're undoing multiplication. We're undoing cubing. That's what we're doing, is undoing. All right? All right. Number 2. Does it look like a square or a cube? And another way that you can look at it is, does it fit these patterns? Does it fit one of these patterns?
Which ones?
I'm going to show you. I got to write them all down. Whoops, one of. What's an of? Of and these got together. Of these patterns, sorry. All right, so what are the patterns? Unfortunately, you will have to know these patterns. It's not something that you're going to be able to write down and have on a test. You need to know these patterns. So the first pattern is a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. If this is your trinomial, that equals a plus b squared. Yep. My pen, I think, died. Might have to get a new pen. If it is a squared minus 2ab plus b squared, that equals a minus b all squared. Yep, in quantity. Yep. These two right here are called perfect squares. Another one we have is a squared minus b squared. If you had a squared minus b squared, that factors into a plus b and a minus b. Yep. Well, remember we're undoing foiling. Yep. So if you have this, what you had before you foiled is this.
Okay.
So remember we're undoing foil. So this is what you're going to be given, and what did you foil to get this was this one.
Okay.
If you're given this, they're asking you to factor. Factor means one of the terms for factoring would be undoing foil. The other one would be finding something in common, and then we're going to go to cubes. But yes, definitely this means that you foiled this or distributed, however you want to think of it. Yep. So then we have, so these are our squares. When it says, does it look like a square? Those are our squares. This one is called the difference of squares. There's two more. Okay, remember that you're not memorizing them. You are knowing that you see that, and that's what happens. Yes. If you want to say memorizing, you can. However, it's not that you're memorizing them. You have to be able to recognize them and get the results. And if you don't memorize these, what you learn in a couple of steps will always get you back to this answer. So on these first three at least. A cubed plus B cubed. If you have a cube, so if you have a cubed, it might fall into this pattern where it is A plus B, and we have here A squared minus AB plus B squared.
I don't know how we're supposed to remember these.
Well, once we work with them, working with them is the way that we memorize them. Well, it's not even really memorizing them, it's understanding them. Once you understand them, because if you were to multiply this through and this through, you're going to get this answer. So it's undoing FOIL, it's factoring, and that's why this section is hard. I mean, you have to really understand it more than memorize it.
Recognize it.
Recognize it and understand it more than memorize it. Yep. And anyways, this is called the sum of cubes. And the last one is A cubed minus B cubed, and that is A minus B, and A squared plus AB plus B squared. And this is called the difference of cubes. So I will tell you, like I said, I started this section by saying it is a hard lesson, but you have to take the time and use it to be able to do it. So with that said and done, let's use one of these to see, let's just see what we have to do with them. Okay. So alright, yep, sorry, yep. So, an example of these types would be like this. Factor x cubed minus 8, and we'll go 8y cubed. So, we want to factor 8 cubed x cubed minus 8y cubed. So, the first thing hopefully you do is when you're starting this, I do expect you to use these. But by the time you're done with them, you will hopefully be able to do them without looking at the patterns. So, this is the pattern you hopefully notice, and it would be called the difference of cubes. So, the first thing it says is to take the cube root of the first. That's how you got A. So, cube root of this is x. Same sign, so that's a minus. Since we had b cubed and we have b now, that means the cube root of the second. So we have 8 cubed is 2. Y cubed gives me y. And then we have to go to the second part of it. It says, whatever a was, you square it. So that means it's x squared. Multiply them together, and it's the opposite sign, so plus. And if you notice, these are almost the same, so that's why it'd be easier to memorize them or to recognize them. 2xy. And then it says to square the last. So 2 squared is 4, y squared. So this is factored.
Yeah.
So the patterns, hopefully, if you have the patterns in front of you, which you will for a while, remember the chapter test is not for a while, but if you have the patterns in front of you, hopefully the patterns is an easy thing. Yes.
I'm just confused why like the 2 goes in front of the XY.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, remember now, when you are going backwards, you have to multiply it. So we have to be able to multiply them through to give us this, to give us this 8. So what happens is they had to go through and they developed this pattern for you. So if I were to multiply this through, if I multiplied this through, and that's how you're going to be able to understand why the 2 goes, you're talking about this 2, right?
Yeah.
Because in the pattern it says A, B, so A times B, this is A, and this is B. So you'd have 2xy.
Alright.
But if you need me to, does either one of you need me to multiply it through? No. If I multiply this through, you said yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that. If I multiply it through, I should get, this is checking my answer, remember. So I have x minus 2y, and I'm multiplying it by x squared plus 2xy plus y, 4y squared, right? And I put a thing in here, sorry. All right, to multiply it through, I have x times x squared gives me x cubed. X times my 2x squared gives me 2x squared y. X times my 4, I have 4xy squared. Then I take this number and I multiply it to all of them. So I have negative 2yx squared. So do you see how this is x squared? I'm going to line it up with these so you can see why they cancel out. So my paper's running low anyway, so I'll just kind of put them together so you can see it. So now I have negative 2 times 2 gives me a negative 4, but I have xy squared. So I have minus 4xy squared. And then my last will give me a negative 2 times 4 is 8. So I have negative 4 and 2 is negative 8. Y times y cubed is, or y times y squared is y cubed. The middle cancels out, gives x cubed minus 8y cubed, giving us what we started with.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yep.
That was like
Remember that if this doesn't drop out and get you the final answer, it's not right. Right? So you know that it has to work because and they figured this out, who they are, the mathematicians. So they figured out, huh? It's just them. I don't know the names. I mean, I could look it up, but I don't know who. Yes.
Is B 8 or 8y?
Is B,
Oh yeah.
B is the cube root of this whole thing.
So 2y.
So B is the cube root of what's in that second term. So because it's 8y cubed, B is 2y.
Okay.
All right? All right. Let's go to the next thing.
What if you ever get a number that's like that doesn't like get cubed like?
Doesn't have cubed or the square perfect,
Yeah.
these, that doesn't fit these patterns?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing next.
Oh.
All right. Just to remind us what we did, since it is a long section, if it doesn't have something in common, it doesn't fit one of these patterns, you have to go to the next thing. Now, So the third one is, third question you're asking yourself is, does grouping or undoing FOIL work? And a key hint to remember is that two numbers always have a 1 in common, because 1 times anything is always that number. So remember, two numbers always have a 1 in common. All right, the example of this. Factor 6y squared minus 7y minus 5. All right, what it means when you're factoring, remember, you're looking for two numbers that when you multiply them together are going to give you this. What did we have? What two binomials did we have that when we multiplied them together, when we FOILed them out, gave me this? Now, I'm going to tell you how the book does it. And then I'm going to show you how the teachers here at Howell and how I learned do it. And you can do it whatever way you want. However, I will tell you, in my professional opinion, the way that I'm going to teach you is easier. However, the book, what they do is they take and they start with what we're given, and you're looking for two numbers that multiply together that give you 6. So it could have been a 3 and a 2, or it could have been a 2 and a 3. And also it could have been 1 and 6, and so you have that. And then remember, this number is given by these two, so 5 and 1. And you have to do all of the different combinations. Then what the book says to do is to go through and multiply, to FOIL all of these out to find out which one is your answer. All right, I will tell you that this is how the book has you do it. I will tell you that that's not my way. And I'll tell you that my way is a lot shorter and a lot easier than this. But you can do it either way. If you want, and this is called guess and check. That's really what most people have heard it. And plug and chug, guess and check is right. So, how do you do it? How do you do it? So what you do is, the first thing is you label these A, B, and C. First step is to do AC so that you can get a number. So AC multiplying together give me 6 and 5. So 6 and 5 is 30. And we can even do negative 30 if you want to. It doesn't really matter. The negative at this point wouldn't matter. So we're looking for two numbers that multiply to give me 30. What numbers give me 30? Well, 1 and 30, 2 and 15, and 3 and 10. That's your first step.
Wait, why would it be for 30?
Because
A
A and C.
Okay.
Oh, and yeah, 5 and 6. All right, and 5 and 6. 5 and 6 though will give you back to what your original. So we probably wouldn't use that one, but might as well put it there. All right, your second step. So this is your first step. Your second step is to look at what C is. C tells you if it's subtracting or going to be subtracting or adding. So C says that we're going to subtract the two numbers to equal B. So B is negative 7. So what two numbers here can we subtract to equal B? And it is 3 and 10. So I'm going to take, wait, time out for 1 second. Time out for 1 second. All right. Second step is a negative. You're looking at C. So it tells you what two of these subtract to give you what B is. So what two numbers of here subtract to give you B?
So you're looking at the sign.
You're looking at the sign, yep, the sign of C. Sorry, I can write that. Sign of C. Yep. So the sign of C tells me to subtract the two numbers to get me B, and B is -7, so that is 3 and 10. So which one is negative? 10. All right. So if you wrote these symbols with me, please rewrite the problem. So we have 6y squared minus 7y minus 5. Now remember, we are undoing FOIL. So we are going to take these two numbers and rewrite this middle term. So I'm bringing these down. So I have 6y squared. We have 6y squared. And we have here plus 3y minus 10y minus 5. And I'll stop here to make sure you guys get where I'm getting these numbers. I'm getting, first of all, did you see where I got 3 and 7? Why I'm picking 3 and 10?
Yes.
Mallory, sorry. Okay. Starting back here, AC, 6 times 5 gives me 30. Okay. You look at the last sign, you look at C, the sign of C, to tell me if I'm going to add or subtract these numbers to get me B. So this says I'm going to subtract the two numbers to give me this number. So I'm going to, I need to, looking here, we had to find two numbers that when I subtract them, they would have gave me a -7. So the numbers would be 3 and your 10. So 3 minus 10 would give me 7.
All right.
Yes for that part?
Yeah.
What part? It's not convincing. What part do you not understand of that?
Where did you get 15 from?
What two numbers, tell me two numbers that multiply together give me 30. 1n, 2n, don't tell her, 15. 3 and 10. So that's what we're doing. 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 5 and 6. Got it? Is that where you're confused?
Yeah.
Okay. I knew you were still confused because it wasn't convincing.
Got it.
All right. So that part you got it, right? So then what we're doing is we're taking now and we're rewriting this using 3 and -10. So we have 6y squared plus 3y minus 10y minus 5. Hopefully you all agree that if I added this together, it's going to give me this. So I'm just working backwards. Now, you look at half, you look at you just have to trust me on this. You have to look at the first half and say, what do they have in common? So what does the first half have in common?
3y.
3y. So 3y. And I'm still not looking at that second half yet. Let me actually cover that second half up so we're not even looking at it yet. So what do we have left? So we have 6y squared divided by 3y. I have 2y. And I had 3y and I'm pulling out 3y. So 3y divided by 3y is 1. Now we look at the other side. What?
Wait.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. 3y divided by 3y is 1. But you also have to remember the other way. When I do it, really, I look at it saying, what do I multiply to give me this? So I know that 3y times 1 would give me that. So it's undo, like I do it backwards, but dividing is how you really get the 1. See that? Okay. Anybody else not ready to move to the second side? All right, this side. What do they have in common? -5. So we have a -5. What is left? What is -10y divided by -5?
2y.
2y. Negative 5 and divided by negative 5 is 1. All right. Now, remember that this is a term and this is a term. So my last step is to see what do these terms have in common. 2y plus 1. So they have 2y plus 1 in common. What is left in this one? 3y. What is left in this one? Negative 5.
I did that a lot, I don't know how.
Did you do the guess and check?
No, I used your way, like halfway. I got to step 2, and then I kind of just went off on my own and got it.
From step 2, I could probably jump to the end too, but I can't jump to the end
Yeah,
when I'm
but-
teaching. But yeah, you could. At that point, you could. Yep, I sure can.
And then when we
Okay. From this step or one above? Okay. Okay. Listen, Kelsey. This is one term, and this is one term. What does this term have in common with this term? 2y plus 1. Now you're looking back at this term. What if you take 3y times 2y plus 1 and we divide it by 2y plus 1, what do we have left? 3y. On this one, if I'm pulling out my 2y plus 1, what do I have left? Negative 5, right? Okay. All right. Try this one. I think I still have time, right? 15 minutes. All right. Try this one.
This is always gonna be like a triangle. Is that what it's called?
Whoops, squared. Is it always going to be a trinomial? To factor it like this, it will be. The only time it won't be a trinomial is if it fits number 1, where it says what do they have in common. Because remember when if you look at my first one, what do they have in common? That could be a binomial, a trinomial. It could be a 4 or 5. It could have 5 terms.
Okay.
But if it has more than 3 terms, you can't do this because when you factor, you're always going to have only 3 terms.
Okay.
All right, so try this, and I'm going to give you a couple minutes to try it on your own, then I'm going to come back with you. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do this. All right, if you have not finished it, that's okay. Finish it with me. But for sake of time, I do have to start doing this just in case someone's stuck. All right, so we have here A, B, C. What was my first step? AC. AC is first step. So we have 4 and your -5 gives me -20. So second step is to look at, we have two numbers that subtract that will equal -1. So what two numbers multiply together that gives me -1? Did you guys find it? 4 and 5. And 5 would have to be the negative.
Wait,
Say it again. Time out. Okay, go ahead.
so where do you get the -1 from the B? Oh, okay.
Yep. Because remember, the sign of C tells me this, and this is B.
Yeah.
So sign of C, and then that has to equal B.
Okay.
Because when we rewrite it, it has to equal B, remember?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where I messed up. First step. Nice.
Oh my gosh, I thought that we were trying to find what subtracts to get -20.
That's what I did.
That's why we-
No, AC, this is multiplication. So two numbers that multiply together. Remember, because that's how you got 1 and 30. Right here, remember? These right here, you guys said it yourself, 1 and 30, 2 and 15 multiplied together.
Yeah.
Then the second one is you have to look at these numbers to find out what they subtract to give you B.
Okay.
Alright? So, now we have 4x squared. We're rewriting it, so we have plus 4x minus 5x minus 5. So remember, we should always be able to get backwards. Then that's when you cover up half of it. So I'm going to cover up the first half, see what's in common. So I have 4x, and that gives me x plus 1. Looking at this, what does this have in common?
-5.
-5.
Wow.
What's left?
X plus 1.
Plus 1. What is in common here?
X plus 1.
X plus 1. What's left?
4x minus
4x and minus 5. To me, actually, I will tell you that these are the hardest. Like, the patterns do seem overwhelming, but actually the patterns you'll see the patterns, like you really will. Once the chapter's over, you'll see the patterns. To me, this is the hardest part, but this will only two things. You need practice on it and repetition. That's the only way you'll remember those steps. But hopefully they will get easier and easier as we go. Alright, I'm going to tell you your whole assignment today, and then we're going to try to do some once I get done with yesterday's homework. So, your assignment, and I expect every single one of these problems to be attempted. Alright, that means you try every single one of these. I hopefully 80% of you will be able to do all of them. But anyways, page 621, numbers 6 through 14, 22 and 23. Page 662, numbers 9 through 16. All of these problems are dealing with factoring. I am not doing any of chapter 10 for homework tonight. If you are still studying for your retake, still continue to study. But tonight I'm only focusing on factoring. That's how important this really is. So these are all, even that I jumped to the review, these really are good factoring ones to do. So that's why I jumped to them. So with that said and done, get out yesterday's homework assignment so I can give you the answers and go over any ones that you need me to go over. Huh?
Definitely got one.
Oh, okay. Number 13? Yep. Oh. Did you say I'm good?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're clear.
I'm clear? Okay. Anybody else? Alright. here we go. Let's go over all of the numbers, and then I will do any ones that you want me to do. So, see if I remember. We did 1 through 6. So you had number 1 was a binomial degree 9. 2 is a binomial degree 5. 3 is a binomial degree 3. 4 is a monomial degree 1. 5 is a trinomial degree 2. And 6 is a monomial degree 6. Number 8 you have is 3x cubed plus 7x squared minus 3x minus 10. And 9 is 8a cubed minus 1. And if you think about it, number 9 is what we just did. To undo it, see how that's what you started with. So hopefully that one looks really familiar. All right. Then we went to the other side. Did you guys do 12? No, 13 just.
13 and 16.
All right, 13. 13 I'm going to do, you guys want me to do, so I will leave you to the answer. Well, 13 I'll just tell you guys first. Volume is 4x cubed minus 56x squared plus 180x. B is 168. And C, a sample would be that you could put in 2.1 and you would get out 168.03. And then, but I will do 13 for you guys. And 16 is 8a cubed minus 12a squared plus 6a minus 1. And I will tell you that number 16 is on your test. So hopefully you guys got it right, because I will tell you that that one is on your test. I looked at your test this morning. So, I mean, it's not the same numbers, but the same type of problems. So make sure you know how to do that one.
When is it? Oh.
Weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
At least a week, if not 2. Yeah. I mean, I'm not even gonna get to 11:4 until the Friday. So, all right. So then we did our other page, 30 on page 601. Oh, I can't do that. I have to move this. 30 is 8.9. 31 is 139.7. 31? Yep. 32 is 19.9. 33 is 25.4. 30. It shouldn't have. What number? 33? Yeah. I can look at your work, but it should not have come up negative. 35 or 34 is 46.1, and 35 is both angles 39.3 and 140.7. Because remember, always when you take an inverse, you always could have 2 answers. So you have to see if they work. All right, so let's go through the ones that you asked me to do. Number 13 was the first one. And again, ladies and gentlemen, I know that I will not have time to work on any of those factoring. I expect you guys to go home and try them. If you do not go home and try them, remember you're hurting me and you, not only yourself. So make sure you try them. So, 13. It says that you have a piece of metal that was 18 by what?
By 10.
By 10. Thanks. Like trying to find the problem and I couldn't find it. All right, so then it tells you to cut out x squares and to make a box. So the length of this box now will be 18 minus 2x. The length of the box is 10 minus 2x. and the height is x. That's a horrible box, sorry guys. Alright, is x. So, that means that I'm going to multiply for volume. I have to multiply 18 minus 2x times 10 minus 2x times x. Length times width times height. FOIL this part out. 18 times 10 is 1800, so 180. Then I have 18 times negative 2 gives me, yeah, that looks like 36x. Inner gives me a negative 20x. Last, negative is a positive. 2 times 2 is 4x squared. Then I have to multiply everything still by my x. Actually, I should combine these two. Let's combine these two. This would be 3656x. So multiplying it through, I have 180x minus 56x squared plus 4x cubed. Then you have to rearrange it to be greatest to least. So we have 4x cubed minus 56x squared plus 180x. Then what it wants you to do for 2 is to plug in the number 2 for your x's. So 4 times 2 cubed minus 56 2 squared plus, if the bell has not rung, ladies and gentlemen, to be polite, don't pack up. Or do it very quietly. So then you want to put that in your calculator and you would get 168. Then it just says to, well, find another one that's bigger than this, and any x you pick that bigger than 2 will give you a bigger volume. So you could have picked anything for C. Does that make sense? Is that your question? Well, like 2, like it has to be greater than 2.
Okay.
Yep. On 31, you have 6, 13, and 18, and we're finding E. So I have to do law of, did you use law of cosines for 31?
Yeah, and then I got like 275 when I.
So did you take the square root? Or no, did you, oh wait, no, because that's, so you went here, first of all, did you have 18
Yep.
squared is equal to 6 squared plus 13 squared cosine of your x. The thing that you have to do, oops, I forgot the 2, minus 2, 6, 13. The biggest thing that you have, make sure that you subtract this part over here and then divide by that. Did you divide by this?
No, I didn't divide by that.
Because you have, that's what you have to do. You have to subtract this
Yeah.
and then divide by that and then take the inverse.
Okay. Yeah, that's not what.
Because
I didn't
order
do
of
that.
operations would be that you would have to subtract this
Okay.
and then divide by that.
Yeah. And then I got like the cosine of C. I was like 275, and I'm like, this is wrong. because
Right.
it can't be.
This second step before it always has to be division.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know how to try it?
I'm gonna work it out. Yeah.
Okay.